So there is a new infrastructure bill that has just been announced as of yesterday, and it's a $500 billion investment over the next 4 years. And what they're going to do is basically use this infrastructure, $100 billion immediately to start basically making sure that America stays competitive in the AI landscape. So I just thought, as an AI engineer, I would take a look at some of the stocks and stuff that may benefit from this. This is not financial advice. I'm just an engineer. I'm not a financial advisor or anything like that. So definitely go check with those folks with that. But it'd be cool to talk about it. And what inspired that was actually this post from OpenAI because they were talking about this bill. And I will link this in the description below for those who are interested. But this post here from Boone actually talked about here are the companies that actually benefit from it. And let's just, talk about it because this is possibly a real thing, and we could see if there's maybe stuff that's missing, or if this stuff even makes sense to me at all. Because I've been in the industry for the last 12 years or so. I used to be an engineer at Apple for 12 years, and still doing tech stuff now, just on my own, exploring these types of things and playing around with AI. So if you follow me, you can follow those code reviews. So some of the first things they talk about are the key players. So they say Oracle, NVIDIA, ARM, and Microsoft, SoftBank. And so these are publicly named players, and it basically means by the time you read this is priced in, but I'm sure they'll go up. But I want to focus a bit that present more opportunity for us. So, if you just take a look at Oracle right now, the stock that opened this morning, let's see. As far as like trading, it basically this morning just gapped right up and it just like overnight just created a whole bunch of value. So like, that's just the power of some of these announcements. And, this is already being priced into the stock market pretty much in real time just from these announcements. So if you're looking at these things, this is kind of where, I was like, wow, this is really interesting. Let's just see what NVIDIA did. So NVIDIA kind of did something similar. It also did like this exact same thing. I'm pretty sure if we go through a lot of these stocks, they're probably going to have the very similar behavior of, gapping up and doing these types of moves in the stock market. So I just thought, let's just go ahead and go over some more of these things. So those are the key players that they named. As far as like semiconductors, servers, networking, and data infrastructure stuff, there are a lot of folks that are involved in the AI market to basically power these AI models. They take a lot of compute power for them to run, and it's more specifically GPUs. And so that's definitely like AMD, NVIDIA as well. And then that's what he mentioned earlier are the two biggest providers here. And then TSM, and then even Intel and stuff are the other beneficiaries. So this is interesting because Intel had gone through this big slump because of their latest holdings, NTC. And I was really curious to see how that's doing. And in the last, basically couple of days of earnings, Intel has lost quite a bit of money over as far as stock trading. From where it was back in August of 2019 at $69, where now it's like $20. So it's just really interesting for me to take a look at this. It's like, that's interesting. There was also rumors I heard of Elon rumoring to buy Intel. So who knows what's going to happen, but especially if this much money is being poured in, it gets me interested. It's like, I'm going to just make sure I keep that on the lookout. And I just thought, I would share that with you. This is, by the way, not any financial advice. We're just kind of going through this post, and I'm just trying to educate myself and share as I go, because maybe somebody else may have insights, and if you do, please share any insights because I think this will be helpful for myself and other people in the community. If you're into these types of things, so memory and DRAM are important for AI workloads. So that money goes into Micron. So that's I think the MU, and so memory definitely are. The biggest factor in AI, if you're doing these things with the running inference on these chips, they require billions of parameters. And you'll hear these types of things, billions of parameters. So if a model is 400 billion, 400B model, they usually name it with a B, it takes so many bits to run on them. And to have all that stuff, you have to actually load it in memory. And then when somebody actually makes a request, it has to load all those different permutations. And so that's why you need some of these bigger, infrastructure things as far as memory and labs and like data centers that are actively running and keeping these things hot, so that you can actually serve them to public. And there are interviews that I may look for a little bit later, because there's one that was just done by the guy from Anthropic, and they literally said that they can't keep up with they went from a factor of 100 million to like billions, and they still can't keep up with the demand. So that's just a heads up of what they're saying they're using. And Anthropic is one of the big providers, along with OpenAI, for this type of stuff. Anthropic is actually focused a lot on, and you may hear about their Claude Sonnet models. They're focused a lot in the enterprise space. This is something new I learned yesterday. I use it as a consumer, but they're really aiming for these bigger companies, which are stickier and provide more money. So that's just a heads up on that. The other thing that we're looking at here, it looks like it says Marvel Technology. So they provide networking chips for data center. So they can expect a huge revenue bump. AR, I don't think I've barely looked into them. So dang. This is a monthly view candle. Oh my God, it's nearly all-time high. Wow. Oh, wow. So in 2023, it was only trading at $32. That is so impressive. Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's going bonkers. It's been going bonkers for a while. So, this is crazy. Okay. Somebody knows what's up. Broadcom as well. So that's AVGO, does networking chips and custom accelerators and specialized servers. They stand to make a pretty penny. AVGO. So Broadcom. Oh man, they've been going forever. I think they're back at all times highs, and they're just, since like, okay. Wow. Yeah, just even since like May of 2023, it was $62. Now it's $241. Dang, that's super impressive. Okay, and then HPE owns Cray, and then Dell is based in Texas. So I don't ever think or hear of Hewlett Packard in the news at all, but they are an enterprise company, which makes sense. So it's, and I need to look into, what are they doing in the enterprise space that's maybe different, or is it there's just so much demand for AI that they just, any company that just says that they do AI in enterprise, and maybe they're already an enterprise company, can pivot into it because of their existing contracts. I think that's an interesting thing for me as far as me to check out. So this is Dell here. Okay. And then the data center real estate cloud companies will go up, even though Stargate is building their own infrastructure. So these companies will eat. So data center real estate. That kind of makes sense, even though they're building their own infrastructure. So DLR is all data center real estate. Dang. And this is a nice, safe bet. DLR. Digital Realty Trust. Okay, I'll have to look more into these guys. I'm just curious about their stock prices and stuff. This is really cool. EQX, Cone, and IRM2. This is really crazy. Okay, so going to need a whole lot of networking to make this work. Yes, that's very, very true. For these systems to be communicating and meet the demand of all these different enterprise solutions, you basically have data centers in America that are spanning across two different regions. So you have the East Coast region and you have the West Coast region. Typically, like in Sparks, Nevada, are where a lot of data centers are, and typically like somewhere like in Virginia and like Ohio and Washington, like some of those, like there's like a whole slew of stuff in the West Coast. There's Oregon. There's just kind of various servers where there's a lot of people. And these people are using their phones, and whenever they use their phones, they're going to connect to the nearest server that's next to them. And so that whenever you have code, you want to make sure you deploy it to these different parts or different regions, or that they're copied across. So that way you have the fastest experience possible. And so if you can imagine now, if you have these AI models that have to be loaded hot and ready and to be served, in order for you to make a request, like giving it a paragraph of information and getting a paragraph back, you have to send that to like the nearest data center. And the data center has to be hot and have all these GPUs already running and memory running and everything kind of resource-wise, so they can deliver it as fast as possible to you. And so a lot of these things aren't like tasks like Netflix where you just say, hey, go make a list for me, or it's going to just bring you these videos. It brings the videos on demand, and they have to copy those videos all over the world. And do these really crazy schemes. And they're not really there yet with AI. These AI models require these things to just be on and ready. You can't just split up the workload. And there's obviously engineering to do that, but even then it's not really that pretty. And it's going to require a lot of resources and a lot of networking at that layer to actually make it happen. So this is really interesting as far as how they're calling that out. And so they're saying Cisco that sells the switches, and the routers and security, ANET, Juniper, CEIN are all going to kill here. So that makes sense to me, and just really curious to see kind of where this goes. So yeah, that's wild. That's super wild actually. So it seems like electric company stocks will also be interesting. So Duke Energy, et cetera. That's a really good idea. Like as far as like where this is going, because yeah, you're gonna need energy to power these things, right? And America doesn't really lead in nuclear energy at all, and this is something that was talked about a long time ago. But it'll be interesting to see if that conversation starts to come back up as well, because they can do these things in very remote regions, like Nevada and stuff, and they already have like nuclear like waste facilities down that way. So that'd be really interesting to see how that kind of turns out, if that turns out at all. So yeah. Oh, thank you for Fooled by Primes. That's so awesome. Because charging stations need fleets of robots. Yeah. So that's damn. That's why it's really interesting is that this space is blowing up so fast, is that the impact is massive. And if you have a lot of these robots or bigger things that are going to start coming into this space, that means that like these things are going to need power. They're going to need chips. They're going to need things that we just need as fast as possible. And we're trying to rely less on external factors. So this would be really interesting to see kind of how this all carves out. And these are really good conversation points. And I'm just starting this stream as a conversation. And this is just me trying to learn publicly. And this is just not financial advice at all. And this is just me like saying, okay, this bill just dropped. This is something I saw that was really interesting. And I'm just trying to add my perspective as an AI engineer and trying to really understand, like, does this actually make sense? Are there things here that I'm not seeing that others aren't seeing? This is just the first look, right? So if you want to stay in touch, just feel free to like follow me or subscribe here on YouTube. I'm also on X as Ray Fernando 1337. You see down there below. Make sure you follow that tag, and we'll keep up the conversation as well. So that'll be really interesting. So after the power, cooling and power to make this work. So VRT, JCI, CAR. ETN. I'm not familiar with these folks, but I'll have to look into them as far as, thermal management, racks, HVAC, backup solutions. Wow, this is what I love to buy on news like this. Downstream players that are going to see tons of money. So that's really cool. And then power. So there's so many to talk about. I'm partial to nuclear and hold a ton of Oklo. Wow. CEG, NEE, DUK, SOD, and SMR all stand to profit off Stargate. Wow. So who's building those data centers? Dude, this guy's doing some like crazy diligence here. Big engineering and construction companies that build facilities. So that's an interesting take there. So ACM, FLR, J will all see huge contracts, and VMC, MLM, CAT, DE are all going to make a ton of materials and equipment. So these are good construction picks for the new era. That sounds kind of like what it sounds like, if you know what I mean. So yeah, that's what's up. Hey, how's it going, Pratesh? Thanks for joining in. So so just kind of going over some quick stock stuff that I was just running into and reading about. And I just thought, this is not financial advice, but just kind of looking over this as an AI engineer and understanding, does this actually make sense to me? And then what are some companies I need to look into? Because I don't have any purview into like energy companies or these other types of things in the background. So I'm going to definitely take a look at some of these types of things on my own time, and just thought, I don't know, I like to share as I go and just kind of think about, who could benefit from this type of stuff. So, I like to do some investing and put my money away into things and, invest in America. I'm from here. I use this stuff. It would be silly not to look into it, especially given how much I use it and given how much economic value I am actually seeing myself using these AI models. And it's like, it's pretty obvious to me that, this is going to be the next big wave. And why not also invest in it? And, that's kind of awesome, right? So then what is interesting is how will the funding break down as far as like a rough estimate? So this is an interesting thing that I also want to double check. This is not like fact checked at all, but this is also like kind of how he's saying it. So it's 20% for data center to 25, 30% for AI hardware, semiconductors, 10% for telecom, and the networkers. Power grid is kind of like 5 to 10%. I mean, we're talking about hundreds of billions of dollars. So this is a $500 billion bill, by the way. A I can't even say it's so much money. Damn. So $500 billion, thumbs up for the next 4 years. But the first drop that's happening immediately is 100 billion. The first drop that's happening immediately is 100 billion. So when we're talking about 5%, that's $5 billion for like job creation, or $10 billion, right? Yeah, that's just insane, right? So like something like that. I could have my numbers wrong, but yeah, that is just absolutely bonkers. So the big players are priced in, and this is I'm talking about immediately, because 100 billion was to drop like literally immediately. So that's our taxpayers' dollars immediately just going to these companies. Like, here's a big check to you. Yo, where's my check? I need a check. Right? Like, Joe, just throw 100 bands at me. Let's go. Okay, so the big players are priced in. The big players, but there's some obviously have some time to run. So this is not financial advice, as this person says. So I thought this person provided a phenomenal list of things just to start kind of asking a lot of questions. So I feel like this is going to be the most interesting thing. And this is just to kind of summarize here before I sign off here. Is basically, for those who don't know, OpenAI just announced Project Stargate, and this is a picture. Sam Altman was actually hanging out at the White House yesterday, and was hanging out with the President Donald Trump, and from there, I think announced this new thing. So basically, they're investing 500 billion over the next 4 years, and so the new AI infrastructure for OpenAI, and the US. So like it's like OpenAI is like the biggest player there, and so they're going to deploy the $100 billion immediately. That is. Yeah, that's just really interesting. So, and then these are the people that they listed as far as like the initial equity funders in the Stargate are these types of folks, and then these are the folks that are also mentioned in there as well, and it builds an existing partnership with OpenAI. So all of us are looking forward to continuing to build and develop an AI. So this is going to be a big push down this way for AI infrastructure spending. America has a really big lead on getting a leap start with these AI models, and countries like China are quickly catching up with the latest R1 model, being basically on par with Claude Sonnet, an American based company, and so for reasoning and code output. So that's still to be determined, and I have a video getting R1 set up. And so for those who don't know, my name is Fernando, and I'm an engineer, and I love to build and make products, and I'm basically doing live streams with AI. So if you want to follow more, I'll be basically showcasing how to load these language models, how to play around with them, and then I also have stuff on how to make apps and what I'm doing to make apps and so forth. So if you just feel free to follow along. This is just kind of geared to sharing my journey on building my own little mini startup and trying to understand how to just like launch a company, and even if it's just for myself or to provide a service, so that I can learn the aspects of business. And then, I myself also aspire to be an entrepreneur. So like that's kind of the stepping stone here. And so now that I'm on my own, I'm able to share back and just turn on the camera and speak to you and just share my experience as I go. Live stream seems to be my forte, and I just love to, get on the camera and share as I go. It takes me a long time to script videos, but I feel like live streams are more of my flow and my flavor, and I feel like I can connect with you a little bit more. So if you're totally down for that, definitely feel free to follow. And if there's any other stuff you want to let me know, I'm going to try to make a blog post on rayfernando.ai. That's rayfernando.ai. Make sure you follow that, and I'll have some more for you. It is 5:46 right now in Hawaii, and I'm going to get ready to go on out to the ocean to go paddling. So if you're into that, definitely also let me know. And I got to go, catch the sunrise, because it's going to be really cool to just, paddle out, catch the sunrise, and just catch some vibes and start my day. But this came out super hot last night, and I just woke up. I was like, yo, this is crazy as far as all the stuff that's been happening right now. So literally $100 billion just dropped into the pocket of this economy. And as we saw some of the stock stuff earlier, just reacting to that. And this is not financial advice, by the way. This is just me as an AI engineer trying to understand, what's happening in this space, who's benefiting, and what are some other places that I want to start investigating as far as myself, and I should be looking into as far as for my own personal needs. So to that end, definitely consult the professionals for those types of things, and don't do silly stuff. So definitely appreciate it. Raymond, such a great name. I really appreciate you giving me the shout out here for the live stream stuff. So hopefully everyone's doing well. A big shout outs to Will as well. hopefully they'll make better decisions about this infrastructure spending than the rural broadband waste of money. So yeah, everything's to be seen, but I'm hoping that as well. And as an American citizen, I want to make sure that the country continues to prosper and do well. And yeah, so to that end, if you like this, definitely share with a friend. Please subscribe if you haven't done so. Ray Fernando 1337, and I'll see you very soon. Take care, y'all. Peace.